we're going to move on now to
Cool.
segment three, which is hot topics, where we're just going to talk about at least one thing that's been in the news recently, and we kind of touched on it earlier. But there's a an article in Rolling Stone recently that's caught a lot of attention. You know, your NFTs are actually finally totally worthless. So basically, there's a new report called Dead NFTs, The Evolving Landscape of the NFT Market from DAP Gamble. And it's a community of experts in finance and blockchain technology. They analyzed 73,257 NFT collections. And they found that 69,795 have a market cap of 0 ETH, which is, of course, the second most popular cryptocurrency, and that 95% of NFTs are essentially not worth anything at this moment. The study estimates that some 23 million investors own these tokens of no value. I'm sure you guys saw this article. Did any thoughts jump up to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's sensationalism, right? Like, I think I read something somewhere where, like, yeah, I mean, if you have all of these collections, right, half of these collections, I don't know how many of these collections are actually legitimate collections, but it speaks to kind of, like, I think, the narrative that people also want to hear, because there was a lot of kind of obnoxious stories of of people, just getting rich off of trading JPEGs, and kind of the mass market and general population who aren't in blockchain or NFTs or in this technology, and follow along with the hype or the reasons why anybody would even care. I mean, to an outsider, it did seem ridiculous with a lot of this money sloshing around and trading hands for these JPEGs, and a lot of these projects are, you know, just images, right? With no real community, no real utility, never intention, and no intention of having any. So again, I mean, that's what you get when there's a hype around this, something like a new technology. But history repeats itself, or it rhymes, right? As you said, Richard, I, I mean, I'm just waiting for the moment where, we have, somebody holds up this tweet, right? And we're in another phase of the market. We're in another phase of the adoption cycle of this technology. And you're going to be able to look back on a moment like this and say, it does feel short-sighted, but honestly, the news is designed to be short-sighted. People have very, very short attention spans. So if you can catch people's attention in 3 seconds, then a headline like that is going to resonate. People don't really want to listen as to why NFTs are actually going to be the essential kind of building block for commerce
Yeah,
going forward.
yeah. And it's worth noting, if you scroll down to the end of this research piece in bold font, NFTs still have a place in the future. They just need to provide genuine utility and be historically relevant, aka first edition true art as well. So, I think it definitely was good clickbait. Some interesting data in there. A lot of folks are sort of taking a break from NFT trading right now, but they're taking a break from other types of trading right now because the overall economic downturn globally has impacted people's sort of leisurely choices of behavior, right? A lot more Netflix, a lot more biking, not bad things. I think we as a society are shifting and evolving as we speak, and we had a little bit more time on our hands and to trade JPEGs, and there was a speculator component to this. A lot of those NFTs that are down to zero had no roadmap. They had no long-term value built into them, but the ones that do still being actively traded today. So I
I
think
have
context is important.
it
Yeah.
is, and again, going back to my two quick thoughts. The first is, when you think about cryptocurrencies, where are they? They're blockchain startups. So when you think about the NFT space, where are they? They're again, startups. And so when you think about all startups, 10% of them, 90% of them fail, right? So it's probably even more so in art. It's probably 95% of them fail. And when you go and do the math on this, that about tracks. So that those numbers add up, make sense. The second thing is this is the first in the first rise of this NFT market were the rise of the PFPs, these artists that not a lot of utility. Here's really cool artwork, and you're collecting art. So if you look at the history of art, there's been a lot of artists, right? I was an artist once upon a time. I made macaroni art, gave it to my dad. Doesn't mean it's worth much today. Most of those aren't going to necessarily make it because there isn't a lot of repeat value, and it's trying to capture something in this moment instead of trying to have the long-term utility. So even looking at some of these artists that came out and created these art pieces, they're not business people. If they're a startup and they came out and they created this really cool thing, but they had no business plan, business model, they're going to fail. So going back to the model of 90 to 95% of all startups are going to fail, this tracks. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
I would also say, like, definitely not financial advice. I know you always have to say that. But I mean, this, in my opinion, art, right, as the one kind of like utility of NFTs, I think has a huge future ahead. And so authenticating, the provenance of a piece of art on the blockchain, I think is going to be very significant and very, valuable in terms of, the historical significance and the collector significance of some of these art pieces. And I mean, I would, take a look at, some of the one of one, significant additions on, for example, Art platform, the Ringers, for example, or Fidenzas, or, autoglyphs, for example, CryptoPunks. So these are all kind of historically significant and generative, pieces that I think have long-term value. And these are some of the things that I'm looking at to, potentially invest in, not financial advice, but I think it's also a big opportunity for people if they buy into this, NFTs are worthless. Well, I'm happy for that narrative to go and pick up some stuff off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, we know that art has been one of the most consistent appreciating assets, globally over history. And I think that the digital art market got a little bit over penalized based on sort of the overall sort of broader hype cycle that we've been through with NFTs. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where you get this potential alpha there that you mentioned. Yeah. So, hey, guys, we've been talking a lot of this show about travel and, jet lag and the fact that we just got back from Singapore and Seoul, but that's not where it all ends, because the Future of Blockchain Summit 2023 is coming up soon in Dubai, and I will be hitting the road again. This is the pinnacle event for blockchain and cryptocurrency. It's set to take place October 15th through the 18th at the Dubai Harbor. And from sand to Satoshi, this conference promises to empower disruptors, inspire change makers, and fuel innovators in Web3, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, the metaverse, and gaming. It's a whole mix of stuff. And consider this your golden ticket to mind-expanding discussions, hands-on workshops, an array of thrilling activities that offer a sneak peek in what lies ahead in the world of technology. So I'm pretty excited about this. And I guess, Richard, I can tell from the expression on your face that there's a little bit of FOMO brewing there.
Definite FOMO. I unfortunately am not going to be able to make this one, but I was looking across and looking at the lineup of speakers, and even looking at some of the sponsors. One is just going to be there: BitGo, BitGet, Binance. A lot of the larger companies are going to be in attendance, and it's really cool to see even some of the speaking lineup. Some of the people that I've been trying to look out for. So like people from Engine Starter, people from Circle. One of the big sponsors where we just came from at Token 2049 was Islamic Coin, which I had a really good conversation with one of their co-founders, and several others. So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a pretty sick conference with over 200 speakers. And one of the speakers is actually going to be you. Do you know what you're going to be speaking on yet?
Yeah, I don't know if it's official, so I don't want to sort of forgo the embargo on the information, but they have a really cool talk in mind for me to facilitate, of course, around the future of where all this amazing Web3 technology is going. But we'll announce that talk sooner than later, maybe before this show comes out. I just echo what you said, Richard. I mean, There's a lot of activity brewing in Asia, but there's also a lot going on in Dubai in terms of they've really laid out the red carpet for folks that are excited about innovation and technology, not just blockchain, but across all of emerging tech, to come to get to know what's going on over there, to gather together to talk about the future. So, I don't take it lightly getting on the road so quickly again, but this seems totally worth it. So I'm pretty pumped. So listen, everyone, whether you're diving in as an enthusiast or just dipping your toes into Web3, this is the event you absolutely don't want to miss. If you've heard about all this fun stuff going on in Dubai, this is the event to check out. Go to futureblockchainsummit.com and see me over there in Dubai in just a couple weeks. Interesting conversation, guys. Thanks for indulging in hot topics. This has been a really nice beginning, Joe, to our sort of set of content with Hasper. Thanks for giving us this nice overview of Hasper and what's going on in the digital collectible side of things.
The views and opinions expressed on Edge of NFT reflect solely those views and opinions of the show hosts and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of those links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.